Also today, many victims and survivors of the Highland Park parade shooting will likely be back in court.
And that's because sentencing will continue for Robert Crimo III. He's the man who pled guilty to that mass shooting. NBC5's Sandra Torres joins us now live outside of the Lake County Courthouse with a look at what has been heard in court so far. Sandra.
Hey there, Evrod and Michelle. Well, yesterday's court hearing went all day long, and that is because survivors and victims wanted, or I should say witnesses, wanted to speak out and share their perspective of what they have been through. Those who lost loved ones, those who were wounded, just wanted to share not only their grief, but the pain they continue to feel to this day. And even though they cannot wait for the sentencing hearing to be over, they say they will never be the same.
We don't have to deal with this anymore, going back and forth and him playing all his little games. So it feels kind of like a relief.
And the man who pleaded guilty to the shooting refused to attend the sentencing hearing. His parents also did not show up to court. But those who were present said they did not care as long as he gets what he deserves. Now, among those speaking yesterday, there was a woman who testified about how her family helped a 2-year-old boy named Aiden. His parents, Kevin and Irina McCarthy, died when they were shot that day. The woman in court said that her family helped little Aiden until they could later reunite him with his grandmother. She was also shot in the neck.
Today, for the first time, Aiden's rescuer and Aiden's grandmother met in court as this testimony was unfolding. And so it was a very poignant moment.
And in court, we also heard from an ER doctor who attended the parade with his family. He testified that he rushed to Highland Park Hospital to treat the wounded and ended up helping save an 8-year-old boy who was shot in the chest. The sentencing hearing is scheduled to resume at 9 a.m. this morning here at the Lake County Courthouse, and we are expecting that Robert Crimo III will spend the rest of his life in prison without parole. Reporting live from the Lake County Courthouse, Sandra Torres, NBC5 News.
Hopefully with the sentence, some closure for these families. Sandra, thank you.
To our big story just breaking within the last 15 minutes. Just as we thought, the sentencing hearing for the shooter in the Highland Park parade tragedy was nearly complete. There was a new twist. The judge handed down 7 consecutive life sentences. Our Sandra Torres is at the Lake County Courthouse in Waukegan with this update. Sandra, you were the first reporter that day on the scene in Highland Park, and I know today's just a measure of some closure for that whole community.
100%, and hearing some of the people who were there talk in court, it really is moving and so brave of them to be wanting to speak about what happened. But let's talk about what's underway right now. The judge right now is trying to decide whether or not to let Robert Crimo III come out and speak in court. And that is because as she was finishing reading her sentence, she was midway through it. That is when she received a message that Robert Crimo III did want to come out. He was not present at the hearing today or yesterday, but somehow last minute, this judge received a note that he did want to come out and speak. And so there has been a brief recess as the judge tries to decide what to do in this case. State's Attorney Eric Reinhardt said to the gallery he believes that Crimo does not have the right to come out because the sentence has already been handed. Again, the judge had already read most of it, saying that he'd have to spend the rest of his life in prison without parole, but the judge had not finished. He was at count 37 of 48. Therefore, we are waiting to hear what's going to happen. Meanwhile, here's what I can tell you about what we did hear this morning. We heard from the last witness to speak in court, to read her impact statement, and this is a woman named Erica Weeder. She was with her husband at the parade on that 4th of July, and she was shot that day. So was her husband. They both survived, but she described still having shrapnel in her body to this day that has to be removed. Sadly, her husband died from a bike accident 13 months after that attack, but she says the biggest impact has been to her children. Here's what she said in court. Because of this mass shooting, this act of terror, me and my children and the entire community now know that no one is ever really safe. And that's really what we heard time and time again from all of the people that spoke in court, not only today, but yesterday as well. We heard from dozens of not only survivors, but witnesses who wanted to speak in court about those they lost, about the people who were wounded, even parents of children who were shot at the parade, just sharing their grief, their anguish over the last couple of years, saying that they're never going to be the same. And when the judge was speaking this morning, she was very much remembering that, making sure that those victims were heard. And she said in court that based on all of the evidence that she had heard, the court finds that Robert Crimo III is in complete disregard for human life, and that is why she began her sentence saying that he would have to spend the rest of his life in prison without parole. Again, we were waiting. We were at count 37 out of 48 for those attempted murder charges. We were waiting to hear what that decision is going to make. Now we're waiting to hear whether or not Robert Crimo III will be speaking before that sentence is handed down. Marion, back to you.
Okay. Let us know as soon as you do, Sandra. If it happens within the broadcast, of course, we'll bring that update to you.
We are waiting for a decision right now by the judge in the Highland Park shooting case. Her sentence has already been handed down, 7 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
But Robert Crimo III has made a request. He apparently would like to speak. This is after not attending any of the days of the sentencing hearing themselves, when the victims and the survivors' family members were speaking to the courtroom. Sandra Torres is live for us in Waukegan in Lake County to tell us more about what's happening now. I understand she was partially through her sentencing. Has she completed her sentencing yet? Has a decision been made about what she's going to do?
Marion, she did complete reading the sentence. We just watched as that unfolded a couple of seconds ago. And so what happened is that State's Attorney Eric Reinhart came out and spoke in front of the judge, in front of the gallery, everybody there in court, and he said that there was a misunderstanding, that Crimo did not wish to give a statement in court. He wanted to demand that he get some books back that had been confiscated. And so with that, the judge moved on, knowing that Crimo would not be in the courtroom, and she finished handing down her sentence. So Robert Crimo III will now spend the rest of his life in prison without a chance at parole. And in her final words, the judge said that the sentence was necessary in order to protect the public. And she also said that that was based on all of the evidence that basically was presented during the sentencing hearing from all of the witnesses as well. As you heard, there was witnesses that spoke about being at the 4th of July parade. Some of them lost loved ones. Others were there to help some of the injured. And so the judge said, in considering all of that information, she believes this sentence brings a sense of justice and an end to continued horror, not only for Highland Park, but for the rest of the community. Crimo, again, not present in court during any of this, but the judge did say that he does have a right to appeal. We are expecting State's Attorney Eric Reinhart to speak within about an hour here outside of the Lake County Courthouse, now that the sentencing hearing has wrapped up. So we will have an update for you in our afternoon newscast. Reporting live here from Lake County, Sandra Torres, NBC5 News.